Hi, everybody. I am Abby Remodel with Raising the Bar. This is my husband, Devin.
Hi there.
And we are so excited to have everybody here tonight to talk about garnishing. Garnishing, I think, is one of the most exciting things about zero proof drinks. I used to work in art museums, so the idea of bringing a little flair and art to drinks is something I really love. So we're going to be going through the history of garnishes tonight, showcasing a few garnish techniques and ideas, and then we'll have a little virtual happy hour. So if anybody has drinks that they want to make along with us, or if they've got tools to create some citrus garnishes, please feel free to join us and try those out as we're talking things through. Okay, so I'm going to start by introducing Devin and let him tell you a little bit about himself.
Hi there. My name is Devin. I'm a co-founder of Raising the Bar, though admittedly Abby is the CEO and brains of the operation. So I was happy to rattle.
And again, I'm Abby. We started Raising the Bar about 3 years ago, almost now. And I quit drinking 4 years ago and was feeling super frustrated with the lack of elevated zero proof options. I was feeling FOMO at parties and feeling a little left out carrying my club soda and lime. So that is where the idea for Raising the Bar came from. And what has been so exciting over the past few years is really seeing the growth of the non-alcoholic category, and not just with those who are not drinking, but with those who are just interested in maybe, switching things up. Maybe they're taking a break. Maybe they're just becoming more mindful drinkers. So I think this is an incredibly exciting time for those who are interested in zero proof drinks. We are very happy to be a small part of it. And we're just so excited to see some of you guys tonight whose names we've seen over the years as subscribers. Thank you all for joining us. Devin is going to kick it off with a little bit of history about garnishes and how they came to be.
Yeah, and before we dive in, I'll just say I'm particularly envious. I still drink every now and then, and when we go out and get a cocktail, and Abby's zero proof drink ends up being tastier than my own, a certain amount of envy there. But anyway, really exciting how the category has grown. But
I will say one thing: there is a way to ask questions in the chat. So if we have any questions, we'll take them at the end. But definitely, as you're thinking of them, please feel free to put them in the question option. There should be a little triangle, square, circle icon. If you click that, there is a way to ask questions. So please add those, and we'll get to those at the end.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate, really encourage you all to make your own drinks while you're listening. If you're making dinner or making drinks or whatever, really happy to have you along. Just very quickly, it's really impossible to disaggregate the history of cocktails with the history of garnishes. They really go hand in hand, really going all the way back. I'm sure it goes further, but to the 1600s, where the term toast, if you're toasting someone, it used to be you would actually drop a small piece of toast into your wine. And this had a dual effect, both of being a little bit of a meal for folks in the 17th century, but also perhaps to mask really bad wine or really bad bread, combining the two. So that's actually for your next dinner party, you can tell people the origins of the term toast, dating back to 1600s Western Europe. But really in the 1700s, when most people, when they were drinking, it was in a communal setting, in a hall or a tavern or something like that. Punch was the drink of choice, and that's the earliest origins that we know of people putting orange rinds or probably maybe rotting fruit, whatever they had lying around, into the punch, adorning the side, really to flavor for flavor and olfactory purposes. But as you got into the 1800s, punch fell out of favor, and ale really came into its own as the popular bar beverage, and it was lower alcohol. And so I think you ended up having a lot of folks who were putting in things like mint and other herbs and just whatever fruit was seasonal lying around, maybe to make it more interesting, since it didn't have as much punch, since it wasn't hard alcohol. And actually one of the earliest cocktail book recipes had in the 1860s, so right around the Civil War time, actually delineated their cocktails as regular and fancy. Regular just being the liquor, and fancy being a little bit of orange or lemon peel or zest and rubbing the oils around the edge. So that was kind of the next permutation of incorporating the actual flavor profile of the citrus fruit. And then at the end of the 19th century, you had maraschino cherries came on hand, which were really great for sweet cocktails, but maybe not so much for super dry ones, which is when you saw olives getting folded in eventually. For those of you who are olive lovers, I think they are the devil's eyeballs. Abby is a big fan. Yeah, they're terrible. I don't recommend it at all. But once you hit prohibition, that really hindered the evolution in the American context of cocktails. And it wasn't until after World War II where you saw the tiki culture really take over, that you saw everything, the full force of globalization and the ability to get any fruit or plant or anything, herb in season anytime, when you really saw this explosion. So anyway, hopefully that's a fun little history lesson. Hopefully it gives you a couple of things to take away and gives you some historical context.
And so with that context, I think the other thing to talk about is, why do we have them today? So I think in the traditional cocktail realm and in the non-alcoholic cocktail realm, there's just a lot of depth and breadth from, the most simple, neat drink over, in a beautiful glass to, like the tiki drinks Devin mentioned, which are heavily garnished and have a whole lot of flair. And so I think there's multiple reasons. One of them is kind of a visual cue as to what you're going to be enjoying. So for instance, in a mojito, there's a little lime wheel here, there's mint here, and that gives you that visual cue that you are going to be enjoying something that has mint and lime. But then there's also the aromatic cue. So when you go to take a sip of the drink, you are clued into what the experience is going to be. Then there's also, in the case of something like a salted or a sugared rim, we've got a take on a Paloma here. So this is a chili lime rim with salt. And that is also just a nice way to balance kind of the tart sweetness in the drink with kind of that salty, briny flavor of the rim. So in that case, it's visually really nice, but it also, again, contributes to the overall flavor of the drink. And again, something classic like an old fashioned, we just have an orange peel in there. And when you express those oils and kind of rub them around the rim of the drink, you're going to, again, get flavor on the rim. You're going to get that aroma and that visual cue. But then I think besides that, beyond that, they're just fun. I think that the zero proof category is a ton of fun and there's so much opportunity. And part of why I really wanted to explore the zero proof cocktail realm is because I really missed the elegance and creativity of mixing up really exciting drinks. So anything from, flowers or herbs or dried citrus, peeled citrus, there's so many different ways to explore. And some of them can be just for fun. They don't necessarily need to be tied to the flavor profile. So if you're going to garnish with a fresh flower, like that doesn't need to be part of the drink. So I think there's just a lot of room for exploration, creativity, and there's really no rules. There's just a lot of opportunity for fun.
Yeah. Plus, like I actually, one of our favorite things to do when we're throwing a dinner party is if you have a cocktail that you're serving, if you have all right, if you're super bougie and you want to do like custom cocktail for your dinner party, which I don't know, why not? Like life is short. If you have mint in your mojito, maybe there's some sort of mint element in dessert or in one of the appetizers. So there's some like symbiosis in the things that you're eating. But I don't know, we have 3 kids now, so I think we throw less exciting dinner parties than we used to. So
we still have a lot of fun with drinks. And Devin is actually going to show you right now a couple techniques for some traditional citrus garnishes. So you can, be as simple as just taking a peel and expressing it in, or you can get a little more creative. So he'll show you some basic techniques right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a few pieces of fruit here. Feel free to play along at home, and I'll do my best not to cut myself because that would be memorable, but also somewhat painful for myself. So I think the first thing, and even little bits of a garnish are really going to elevate the cocktail. So it gives you that visual, that olfactory cue. But there are a few different ways to think about it. So first things first, we're going to do a quick swath, which is just like one big slab. So you can do this a couple of different ways, and I'm happy to demonstrate both. So the first is with one of these thick peelers.
By the way, was in last August box. So for those of you who are new to Raising the Bar, we're a zero proof cocktail subscription box. And each month you get all of the ingredients to make several zero proof cocktails, as well as a piece of barware or a garnish or something like that. So
I should have mentioned before I started cutting, first things first, you're going to wash your fruit because there's wax and stuff on stuff you get at the grocery, even if it's organic. So to make it shelf stable. So wash your fruit. You don't want any of the barcode labels. No one needs a barcode in their drink because that's how they get you. But anyway, after you cut your swath, sorry, I'm a little punchy today. What you want to do is make sure, I didn't get too much pith on this, but the pith is super bitter. So what you want to do is if you do get a bunch of pith, or God forbid, some of like the pulp of the fruit, you just want to scrape that off. It's no big deal. Happens to the best of us. So what you could do, you could either leave it rustic like this, or if you want to cut it and shape it a little bit, you can cut the edges, straighten it off. I like to do a little bit of a parallelogram, so you could do these like parallel edges here. So I know I hold this up, so you end up looking exactly like this, where it kind of gets folded. And what you want to do is, I'll try to demonstrate close to the camera here. You want to express the oils. The oils are actually on the exterior of the fruit. So you want to hold it up and just like gently, and if your fruit is fresh enough, you'll actually be able to see it. How cool is that? You can actually see the mist go in there. So what you could do is you could just plop it directly into the drink. If it's long enough, you could place it along the edge of the cocktail. I like to put mine in to flavor. The other option with the swath is actually to you can like create a little twist. So this is kind of a shorter, stubbier version, but like if you twist it and hold it for a second like that, so you can make it just a little curly Q and drop it right in. It makes it just a little bit extra. The other thing I wanted to mention is that you could use a knife and do the exact same thing rather than with a peeler. It gives you a little more control. You tend to get a little deeper into the piece of fruit. So the other thing I wanted to mention is oh my gosh, where is my channel? No, here we go. Sorry, got to go off camera. So this like channel, what's the term for it?
Channel knife. The
channel knife. I'm sorry, I forgot that. I actually I am admittedly not very good at using the channel knife, but if you were doing like a really skinny, this guy is not my favorite tool in the world, but I prefer doing the limes. If you're using the channel knife, you really have to dig in with this particular brand of channel knife. Maybe it's not super sharp, but what you can do is just get it as long as you can and see how neatly that comes out. See, that one turned out great. So you get a nice little sprig like that. Now you could just drop it in if you want, but I like to take a cocktail pick and slowly wrap this guy around, and this works super nicely. Citrus does such a good job of holding its shape, and so you hold it like that and then just give it a little twist and hold it for a second, and then when it comes out, look at that. It's beautiful. Just a beautiful little spiral, and this can sit on the edge of your cocktail. It can go right in. Really elegant. The last thing I wanted to show you guys, if that's all right.
Please.
We got time. All right, good. I'm not going to get cut off here. So if you wanted to create, so say you were having a party and you weren't just making a cocktail just for yourself. If you create there you go, a really nice long one. Now this may be a little too long, so I didn't get too much pith in there, but this is like 60% of the orange, so it's pretty big. So what you want to do is, say you're making like 4 cocktails, you're going to want to roll it up, like a little fruit roll up, for those of you who are 90s kids. So it's going to look like that. Now, of course, you could actually put a skewer right through there and it'd look beautiful.
Right here.
So alternatively, you're going to make a bunch of, you're going to clean up your edges a little bit there. See, got to be careful. Don't work fast with a sharp knife, folks. All right, so you're going to want to cut like slices of cake or a brownie or something like that. All right, so see, what we're left here is a bunch of these, thin little twists, as you can see, and we just did them all in one fell swoop. And then same thing, stands to reason. That one's actually kind of messy, that one on the very edge, but you get the idea. So same thing, you wrap around, make a nice little spiral, and then you hold it, and you've got yourself 3 or 4 twists. The last thing I wanted to say is that if you want to get really fancy, if you want like a charred version of whatever you're doing, you can actually express, get a match. So look at that, beautiful. You can get a match and take your, sorry, I'm just going to reuse this swath, and you would heat the exterior, just light it and heat it right on the exterior of the lemon or orange peel, and then gently express, careful not to light yourself or anything else on fire, into the match over the glass, and the chard, you'll see it light on fire like a little bit of flambe, and that flavor will go directly into the glass. It's so good, really elegant, and a nice little pouring trick. So anyway, hopefully that gives you a nice little background of everything we're talking about.
Yeah, so as you can see, the versatility with citrus is wonderful. Again, we did make this little citrus rose, which is taken just a nice long peel, and then it's rolled up and put on a cocktail skewer. Another thing I like to do with citrus is getting pinking shear. So like you would use for cutting fabric or in crafts. And it's those kind of scissors that have a very kind of jagged edge. And then it just makes this really beautiful, when you cut the swath, this beautiful design here. I've done the same thing with the pinking shears on this little pineapple leaf. So you can see the edges there. So just to kind of dress things up a little bit. We already talked about herbs. One note for herbs is I like to kind of smack the herb before I either put it in the shaker, if I'm putting it in the shaker, and before I put it there, because smacking it like that,
oh baby,
it really releases the aromatics. So again, you're really getting that aromatic, especially if it's already incorporated into the cocktail. You're getting that cue from the nose.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like on a mint julep, we got a muddler back here. On a mint,
nope, that's nice.
Where we got them? Oh, right here. All right. My friend Malik gave me this muddler, really nice. Guy hand carved this in New Hampshire. So thank you for the gift. I'll just say, when you're muddling, like for a mint julep, you don't have to like beat the crap out of, like when you're muddling, it doesn't, or any sort of fruit. Like a few pokes will do. Some people will just like absolutely pulverize it, and it just annihilates. It actually can create off flavors. So, maybe Abby's out here smacking her plants, but like you could be a little gentler on the muddling too.
Okay. Another citrus one, I don't know what this is called. We'll call it a bird of paradise, but this is one that again is just a swath. And then I cut through the edge here and then put a little incision here. And if you put that little slit in the middle, you can actually rest it really nicely on the rim of a glass. This is not going to sit exactly as I want, but you get the idea. There's just a lot of different things you can do. Beyond citrus and herbs, there are some other wonderful things you can do, like you're making a cucumber gin and tonic, just taking a ribbon of cucumber, very thin ribbon, and then stringing it on a cocktail pick. That's a really beautiful one. And then just some spices. So cinnamon stick, we did a really nice apple spiced drink last year. This was a garnish, as well as star anise. This star anise is really, really lovely. It has almost a licorice scent. Looks really gorgeous. And then another one I love to do are fresh flowers. So this is taken just from a bouquet we got today. And I love these teeny tiny little cocktail picks. They're just an inch long. And I know some folks are anti-cocktail pick and sticking little bouquets on cocktails. Devin told me this today, but I don't care, because look at that. Look how pretty it is. It feels fancy. It feels elevated. It feels like a celebration. We've got some other things here. We have some dried jasmine flowers. The list is endless. There's just really no end of possibilities. One of the drinks we did in our April box was a red herring, which is a take on a Bloody Mary that had celery, pickles, olives, lemons. I mean, there's so much opportunity here. So those are just a few things. When we were thinking about putting together this little class happy hour, I was thinking that we would make a bunch of different drinks. But then once we got into it, I was like, there's so much to be discussed with garnishes alone. And I feel like we have only just scratched the surface. So again, just some extras. A cocktail pick is your friend when you're skewering fruit or other things, a peeler, and those little cocktail picks, which you can get at a craft store. So those are some of our favorite things. This list is not exhaustive. We would love to see the types of things that you guys are coming up with. If you are not in our private Facebook group, we will send a link after this class so that you can join, because we really want to see more activity and more sharing from the community about how you're elevating your zero proof drinks.
Yeah, or even not necessarily any questions. If you have, just want to share any feedback or anything, like if you got a particular drink or a particular garnish you like, or something maybe you want to see replicated in one of our boxes down the road, like just this is very, very casual.
Your garnished creations. We can't wait to see what you're mixing up.
Thank you.